Welcome to the Lose Weight, Live Life podcast. If you're a female professional or entrepreneur who would do anything to lose weight, yet finds it impossible to stick to a diet, to eat less, or just what you think you should, this podcast is for you. I am your host, certified life and weight coach, Clair MACKENZIE. Listen in to learn how to stop overeating, lose weight for the last time, and create a relationship with food and yourself that you love, all without diet deprivation and self-sabotage. Hi everyone, and a very warm welcome to podcast episode number 76. I hope you're all well. Today I'm talking to you about when the mental weight is keeping you stuck. This podcast is for you if you sometimes feel as though doing the things that will help you lose weight is just too difficult. This might feel like intense resistance against doing the things a part of you either wants to or is telling you that you should do. It might feel like you being weighed down by your own emotions. And you can feel this way about different things you're wanting to do in your life. It doesn't just have to be about losing weight and creating a relationship with food that you love. Sometimes it feels as though you just cannot face things. You might have thoughts like it's too hard or I just don't feel capable right now. And I think we all feel this way from time to time. So today I'm going to dive into this topic of what I'm going to describe as the mental weight. It's when your weight loss mindset is keeping you stuck and you're feeling mentally heavy. Anytime we feel this way, it's useful to know it's because of our thinking. It's because we've got stuck in a thought spiral or a thought loop that is creating negative emotion. And that's useful to be aware of because we can change how we think to help ourselves, even though sometimes it may feel more difficult to do so than it does at other times. And at the same time, the reality is that when we're feeling emotionally heavy, we often don't know the reason why. We're not sure why things feel difficult. Maybe they feel difficult now when they haven't done in the past. We're not sure why, even though we really want to do all the things that will help us lose weight, and we might agree they're relatively simple because we've proactively broken down into small steps, and yet still the idea of doing them feels as easy as climbing an unsurmountable mountain. So how do we start to figure out what's going on? I think that a good place to start is to take a quick mental audit of 3 areas of your life. And they are your relationship with yourself, your thoughts about you, your relationship with food, so those are what you're thinking about your food and your eating, and also your relationship with your life. And to then take a decision as to which of these is creating the most negative emotion for you right now. If we're looking at the area of our relationship with our life, the one area that I see being the biggest mindset burden is work. If you're finding work particularly stressful or challenging, it can be difficult to create mental space to focus on your relationship with food and weight loss. You might find yourself existing in a state of pressure and stress where just getting through the day feels like an achievement, even though the reality is you always get through the day. Another significant area that can make things more difficult is the broad category of relationships with others. And this might include taking care of someone who is sick, or grieving the loss of a loved one, or being amid a failing relationship, or simply not having someone and feeling lonely. If you suspect your mental weight is tied to an area of your life, that's good to know and acknowledge. And I'll talk you through things you can do move forward with that in just a moment. But first I want to explore the other 2 areas. First, your relationship with food. If you have a significant history of dieting, especially calorie counting or point counting, where you're very used to working hard to follow a specific regime, and you've been used to trusting that following a specific diet is what's enabled you to lose weight, then the idea of putting yourself in control of your food choices can feel scary and debilitating. It may feel as though you've just given yourself permission to eat what you want for the first time in your life, and instead of making choices your true self wants, your primal brain takes over and you find yourself eating all the things and feeling totally out of control, which leads to feeling overwhelmed and confused about what you want to do versus what you should be doing. Again, this is all normal and it's okay. And the third area, probably the one that I see most often, and this is where you may feel hung up on regret or shame or frustration because you wish you were different. You wish you were not the weight that you are, or that you didn't gain the weight that you gained, or that you were just better at making food decisions. You're feeling so negative about yourself. You're not trusting yourself when you're afraid that you won't do the things that you tell yourself you should be doing to move forward on your weight loss journey. If you relate to this, then you may also get a sense that when you are eating things that aren't going to help you lose weight, that you're eating against yourself. Whichever area you feel is most relevant to where you find yourself right now, your next step is to increase your awareness of what's going on for you with curiosity and compassion. And I encourage you to give yourself plenty of time to do that. And I want you to do it through journaling. And by journaling, I simply mean sitting down with a pen and paper and writing about what you are experiencing, what you are thinking and feeling. The purpose of journaling is to help you expose your thinking and get some perspective of it. Us humans are unique in our ability to observe our own thinking, and yet we often don't take advantage of our ability to do that. And we also have many thousands of thoughts a day, most of which are repetitive and delegated to our lower consciousness, so that whilst we're not aware of our thinking, we are maybe aware of our feelings or the effects of our thinking. We're sometimes aware of feeling down or unhappy without really knowing why. This is what happens when we have repeated patterns of thinking that we thought so many times, they've become our truth and part of our belief system. And whether these thoughts are about your work, your relationships, how you eat, yourself, or some other aspect of your life, the chances are when you've been thinking them daily, you're no longer aware of them. Just as I said, you're just feeling the effects of them. But if you're experiencing them as heavy mental weight, if something that you really want in life is to create a better relationship with food and to lose weight, and yet you feel stuck and can't get started because in the moment you don't do the things that will help you do just that, to lose the weight, then it may be that you would benefit from clearing the mental weight first. So, as I said, you start with the practice of journaling to expose what's going on for you. And simply start by asking yourself how you feel about a certain area of your life and why you feel that way. Now, if you're in the Lose Weight, Live Life Academy and following along with the Food for Thought program, this is a part of the work that we're going to be doing next week. And I'll be taking you through the process step by step. But essentially, you start looking to organize your mind. You're looking to increase awareness of your default thinking. You're looking to identify areas of thought that are causing you to feel heavy or burdened. And it can be useful to explore those thoughts, the ones you uncover, by asking yourself, is this thought serving me? Is it helping or hindering me create what I want in my life? You can also ask yourself, who would I be without this thought? I like to think of this exercise as doing a sort of a well overdue sort out. In the same way that I sorted out the stuff in my attic before moving house last year, there were boxes of things that had been there years unopened. Much of the stuff I didn't even know that I had. When I started looking, it felt a little uncomfortable, a little overwhelming, because there was so much. Now, I could have judged myself for having the stuff that I did unnecessarily and not using it, but I could also have been curious about what there was to find. And I also got to decide as to what I wanted to keep or let go of. And there's so many similarities here with when you start to explore your own mind and thinking through journaling. Uncovering thoughts and maybe feelings that you weren't aware of can feel a little overwhelming. You might notice an inclination to judge your thoughts because you can see that it's not been useful to have kept those for the years that you have. Just like I had to when sorting out the attic, you're going to want to explore those thoughts one by one and decide whether each is useful for you to keep or whether you want to let go of it or maybe give it an upgrade. One of the mindset shifts I made through this process during my weight loss journey was around the concept of my day being hard, non-stop and tiring. I was unaware of my thinking, but I felt a constant emotion of drained or burdened and definitely a bit of poor me thinking, which left me feeling entitled. Now, the emotions of feelings of drained and burdened and entitled are not useful when you're wanting to change your relationship with food, when you're wanting to have less refined foods that your body and brain highly desire, when you're wanting to make the effort to plan and shop and to prepare more nutritious meals. The emotions that I was feeling made doing those things difficult. I was in battle with myself from the outset. But I didn't know what was going on until I did the regular work of examining my thinking and noticed patterns in my thoughts about my day. Once I was aware of my thinking and I could see how it was hindering me do more of what I wanted in my life, I had the opportunity to shift my thought patterns and release that mental weight. So if you do this work, if you observe your thoughts and feelings for a period, and you notice that you tend to think thoughts that leave you feeling less than ideal, what can you do about it? Well, you have the power to change them. But I discourage you from jumping at doing so too quickly. Before you look to upgrade your thinking, you want to give yourself ample time to understand your default thought patterns and to make peace with them. We humans are much too quick to judge ourselves. When we see how our thinking is maybe making things more difficult for us, it can be easy to have a thought that we shouldn't be thinking that way, or wish we hadn't been thinking that way. And this is just layering more unuseful thoughts on top of the original ones and further prevents us from making the changes we want to make. So don't do that. Instead, give yourself time to understand your thinking. Have compassion for yourself. Make sense of it by asking yourself why you've been thinking that way. Then, when you feel you've made peace with it, you get to forgive yourself, if necessary, which you may be occasionally. Then you can focus on what you want to think. You might like to think of this as taking yourself from being the victim or the villain of your story to the hero. In what I shared about my thoughts about my day, I was definitely the victim. But I have other stories that hindered me with my weight loss journey, especially those that fall into the category of my relationship with myself, where I definitely painted myself as the villain, mostly because of all of my should be better thinking. So whether you're focusing on your thoughts about an aspect of your life, your thoughts about your relationship with food, or your relationship with yourself, how would you be thinking differently if you were the hero of your story? For me, with my hard day story, this looked like me creating thoughts that led to feelings of pride, accomplishment, and self-love to replace the feelings of drained, burdened, and entitled. Feeling pride, accomplishment, and self-love made it so much easier to do the things I wanted to do that would move me forward on my weight loss journey, such as planning my meals, journaling every day, taking the time to choose and make delicious, nourishing meals, and allowing it to be okay to make better choices, even if they weren't as good as the choices that I could have made, such as a ready meal or a takeaway when I had a day with challenges and was time poor. Essentially, I had my own back. And the thoughts creating those feelings were thoughts like, I like how I showed up at work today. I'm proud that I've created a life that enables me to support the family financially and still pick my kids up from school. And I'm doing my best. Now, these are no more or less true than the thoughts that had me feeling burdened, drained, and sorry for myself, which would have been something like, I have so much to do today. I can't believe I have to sit by a swimming pool for 2 hours this evening after a full day of work. I never get any time for me. But when it comes to helping me lose weight, those two sets of thoughts are miles apart. If you're struggling to get started or move forward on your weight loss journey, making time to examine your mindset and how you're thinking is a great place to start. If you're feeling stuck, don't make changes to how you're eating until you look at what's going on with your mental weight. You've likely heard me talk several times on this podcast about the importance of making your weight loss journey easy and enjoyable. Well, this is just one of the ways to help yourself do just that. When you address the mental weight first, it becomes so much easier to do all the things you want to do to help yourself lose the physical weight too. All right, that's what I have for you today. Thanks for listening. Take care, and I will speak to you next week. If you enjoyed listening to this podcast and are ready to live a more intentional life, lose weight as a part of that journey, and create a relationship with food and yourself that you love, then I would be honored to be your coach. There are 2 ways that you can work with me. You can join my monthly membership program, My One Life Academy, that gives you self-paced learning, supported by twice-weekly live calls and a whole lot more. Or you can join the waiting list for my next 6-month Lose Weight, Live Life group coaching mastermind intensive. Go to www.thebestyou.coach/coaching to find out all the details.